Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Welcome to today's presentation.
Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about the shelter instruction framework and how it promotes language and literacy in the classroom. Okay. What can you observe from the umbrella image there? What inference can we make, because it says shelter instruction and it has all these symbols there? What do you guys think that means?
That it covers all the subjects because I see like a book, like representations of different subjects.
And what does the umbrella do?
It integrates, it kind of,
When you use an umbrella in the rain, it's to what?
it covers.
It protects you,
Protection.
right? So that's what we're gonna be seeing now. Means that it's gonna help the students, from no matter where they come from or the level of English, feel more confident and more protected in any classroom, no matter the subject. So, being that said, let's talk about shelter instruction. I want you guys to discuss in your table if you have heard about shelter instruction before, or if you have used it, or even if have you seen it, and what example can you share? You can have a minute for that.
Well, have you heard about shelter instruction before?
Yes, I have. I know that it has a couple components about making content comprehensible and about increasing academic language. And there's lots of different strategies that you can use for it in many scenarios, many classes.
Then the second one is, have you used or currently use shelter instruction studies? Yes. Like visuals, labeling everything, the environmental print, making sure that the kids have everything labeled, or so they can go and see if they don't know how to write something, or the use of word walls.
Okay. So that brings us to the definition, the formal definition of shelter instruction. And shelter instruction is when teachers use second language learning strategies while teaching other content. Doesn't matter the subject, again, and it doesn't even matter if the students are English learners or emerging bilingual. These strategies are best practices that can be used in all content areas. Making content more comprehensible for our emerging bilingual students creates equal opportunities to develop content and language, which is something that you mentioned before. It develops the students' language and literacy simultaneously at the same time they're learning content, and it's beneficial for core and non-content classes such as elective or specials. If you're gonna have students that are newcomers or emerging bilinguals, are you gonna really need? Do you need those strategies across? I'll say the whole school,
Yep.
not only the science, math class, the PE, the gym, having things labeled for them to see and learn language. Even in the school building, having the expectations labeled with images in it, so they can not only read it, but they can see images and relate to that. When it comes to teachers, you need to be asking yourself if the emerging bilinguals in your class are really understanding the key ideas of the content I'm delivering. So it's not only asking, do you understand? You need to have evidence, and they need to demonstrate that they're really mastering the content that you're delivering, right? And are the emerging bilinguals in my class being provided with opportunities for language practice that will help them develop the academic language? So those opportunities that we're going to be talking about, that they are not only going to develop their language, they're going to also at the same time develop what you're trying to teach in your content, all those academic skills. Okay, language distance. So talk to each other. Which of these closest to English? What do you guys think? I'll give you around a minute for that.
Think any of the ones that use our same letter system,
Yeah.
the ones that don't use our letter system, or farther away in language distance.
Mm-hmm.
And which one do you think is the closest to English from all of those?
I would think Ola,
Yeah.
because it is at least, I mean, some of the letters are at least similar to hello.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Oh,
an
you're
H
right.
and
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
you have an
Yeah,
O and an
that's
L, whereas bonjour and ciao, guten tag are very different.
Very different, yeah.
And that's one of the factors that it's involved when it comes to language acquisition, is how far is the language of the student from English itself, right? It's not only the way it's written, that's one part, but the way it sounds. And I think bonjour also sounds similar to like spelling something in English, right? Which I think that's French, right? Good morning, buenos dias in French. And this is a graphic that shows language system. And now I want you to talk to each other. What languages do you see? Do you see like they are where you kind of write, or what languages do you see close to each other?
What languages do you
This graphic shows the language distance. This is English. So what do you see closest to English there? That's a better question right there.
Right.
Closest is the French according to that chart.
Well, it seems like French is really cool. I didn't know that. Because French is hard.
It is. But there are similar words, I'll say.
Uh-huh.
Spanish is right. It's right here
Yeah.
too. It's
Even
not that
Italian
far.
is closer than
Yeah.
Spanish is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Maltese
German is
somehow
close
very
as well.
similar.
Mm-hmm. What do you think if you have a class of an ESO class, students from different places, and if you have a student from French and a France and a student from Ukraine, who's gonna get the English? Is that gonna help you pinpoint or kind of understand who's gonna struggle a little more with English than the other one?
Yeah.
Who do you guys think it's gonna struggle a little more obtaining the English language?
Yeah, of
You
course.
think.
Like for example, the kids who come from Russia and all that area, like are gonna have a harder time.
It's very
understanding.
far,
Yeah.
right?
It's very far.
so that's one of the factors that affects the language acquisition. Is how far is their language from English, right? Some of them are gonna get it and be a little bit more fast acquiring it than other, depending from where they come from. Okay, so factors affecting second language acquisition. We talk about language distance, but there are other factors involved as well. The motivation and attitude. I think this one is more impactful in high schoolers, depending on the attitude that they have towards the class, for example. First language development. Again, we have students that come in 7th grade with they don't have the skills, not even in their first language, reading fluently and all that, letter sound recognition, age, cultural background, the peer groups, the access to the language, quality of instruction, personality and learning style, and then the role models as well. Okay, so promoting language and literacy. We have different parts to this, and then in the first section we have comprehensible input, which is basically that the content, it doesn't matter the content, it's being taught in a comprehensible way. It's a language that it's easier to understand for the non-native speakers. Language objectives, which is being strategic about what words and activities the students should understand and use to be successful on the learning. So we're planning intentionally what words they need to understand prior to the lesson, for example. Strategic lesson delivery, which is instructional strategies to support language development. Someone mentioned environmental print here at the beginning, labeling stuff in the classroom, for example. Sentence stems, word banks, providing wait time to the students. Students that are non-native speakers, they will probably need a little bit more wait time before responding to a question. Diagram charts, visual hands-on activities, and anchor charts, a lot of interactions. These emergent bilingual need the most opportunities they can get to interact and talk to each other, like cooperative learning activities, group work, and there's different examples like turn and talk, structured conversation, teach, which the student teaches another one what they understood for that lesson, even stations, right? And background knowledge is connecting to their previous experiences, recognize and respect the student's background, and having a culturally responsive classroom. Any questions so far?
So I do have a question. For a brand new teacher from this teacher side, brand new teacher, what would be a good strategy that we can recommend to start with the kids in developing their language at any level? I'm a first new teacher. What would be a good strategy from all of those to start like motivating the students to use the target language?
For a brand new teacher is I will say having a lot of visuals in the classroom and having sentence stems. It could be different sentence stem for each subject to help the students in that particular subject. And then I'll also recommend a lot of interaction opportunities. They're simple and easy to do. Just turn and talk, pairing friends, which I'm going to provide an example of how you can pair groups or pair students to talk among themselves, and pre-plan the conversations that you want the students to have.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. This is an activity for you guys. Let's imagine that you're new in Germany, right? You are new in Germany, and then you are in a social studies class, and you just learn about methods of transportation in Germany, right? These are methods of transportation. You're new, you speak English, you don't know anything about German, and you are sitting in the classroom, and this is the word wall that the teacher has for you to remember the methods of transportation. Take 1.5 minutes or two I want you to identify which method of transportation could each of those words be. Go ahead.
Well, I guess we all know automobile.
Automobile, yes.
That's the easiest
Yeah.
one.
And then the one that says motor rod, I will say like it's probably a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I'm going to say Schiff is a ship,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
and maybe Zug is bus because they're both short words.
All
That's
right.
what I thought
Right.
too. That's what I
You're
thought
using
too.
cognates,
Bus.
probably, something like that.
Farad is maybe a ferry.
Oh,
Nice.
well, Joe.
A ferry. This one is a ferry. Okay, we'll see. We'll talk about this one. This one. Who's this one? A bus?
So
You
that
said?
might be a bus, and
Maybe that one an airplane. The flogs too.
One of those had to be an airplane, right?
This one?
The flog.
I don't know.
A
I
taxi.
don't know, I think Schiff is ship. I think
What about
Zug
this one?
is
Oh,
airplane.
let's
I
try
agree.
I don't know how to say
no,
that.
no idea.
Hub's
I don't
travel.
know
Maybe
how to
that's
connect
like
that to my
Maybe el metro.
Subway,
Yeah,
Yes.
Subway.
Okay.
because it's got like a hub.
hub.
Yes.
Ah.
But do they have Subway over there? Yeah.
Yes,
Of
they
course.
do.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And that's another thing that makes me think is like, what do I know about Germany?
Right.
Right? Like that previous
Background knowledge.
Like
Yeah,
background knowledge
yeah,
will
yeah.
help me, but
Exactly.
I'm like, I really never pay attention on that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we ready? The first one is a
Oh!
airplane.
An airplane.
Good job.
Fly.
This
That's what I
one
thought
is
when I said
a.
Ah, good.
This one is a train.
Oh, okay.
Close,
It's a train.
close.
Okay. Obviously.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yay!
even in
Got it
Spanish.
right.
Automobile,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh, we were right.
Very good. Motor ride.
Okay.
You were right.
That's it. There you go.
Oh,
Oh,
helicopter.
Okay, yeah,
From
that's right,
helicopter.
right.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh no, idea.
Bicycle. It's a method of transport, especially in Europe. They use a lot of bicycles, right, to move around places. And if you have the word wall instead of like this, with nothing, with the images, would that be helpful to remember what the word was? So imagine our students sitting in a classroom with just 20, 30 words there with they're gonna learn it the first day probably, but if no one goes back to it, they're probably gonna forget and not have a clue of
You know, that's
what is
something
there.
that I've seen is like elementary teachers are really good about this, but as
Mhm.
the kids get older and they move to secondary, even middle school, like they forget the use of visuals
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
things like that will be so good for the kids.
Right, right. And even for an adult, right? You
Uh-huh.
you see that and you're like, I need the visuals, right? Especially if it's another language. Okay. Um, so advantages of shelter instruction is that it improves comprehension and access to content. The shelter instruction uses strategies like clear language, visuals, hands-on activities to make academic content more accessible and understandable for EBs, which is the new term, or ELs. Used to be English language learners, but we're using emerging bilinguals now. Enhance English language skills by focusing on both content and language. Shelter instruction helps EBs develop their language skills within a meaningful context. Increase participation and engagement. The use of cooperative learning, diverse activity, and culturally relevant content foster a more inclusive and engaging learning environment where all students feel valued and can participate. So this is very important. No matter where the student is from, we want them to feel valued. That way um, they can just lose themselves and talk to each other and participate, right? And engagement is a very important piece because the more engaged they are, the less behavior issues, the less distraction. So indirectly, shelter instruction strategies will help you with behavior too as well. Develop academic competencies. Shelter instruction incorporates opportunities for students to develop general academic skills such as study skills, critical thinking, and problem solving. Improve self-esteem and belonging, and creating a welcoming and inclusive classroom where students feel comfortable and valued can boost their self-esteem and self-belonging, sense of belonging. I'm sorry. There's also a lot of advantages for teachers, which is greater success and satisfaction. The shelter instruction techniques and strategies are universal, and teachers experience greater success and satisfaction. They feel whenever they start seeing students more engaged, more participation, lessons flow better, and then just boost confidence on the teacher as well. Better results for EBs is more accessible, and teachers can achieve better results. They can obtain better results in their test. Increase understanding of their needs. You're gonna start trying strategies, and automatically once you get the hang of it, like you said, you can just come up with your own strategies that are better for your students. Some of them might not work, or some of them might work better than others, right? You have a more effective instruction, and it provides teacher with a framework for delivering effective instruction, so that it helps you organize the lesson better in a better way. And it has opportunity for professional growth to learn new strategies and improve their teaching practices. So it's that gonna have an impact in your t-test if you're using good strategies, best teaching practices. Students are engaged, they're having better results, of course. So it's just a win-win situation for students and teachers, right? So we have the 7 steps to a language-rich interactive classroom. We have the first step, which is teach students how to say instead of what I don't know. We have different examples coming up. One of them could be, could you repeat the question, please? Could you explain more? Teach students to speak in complete sentences instead of just saying phrases or incomplete sentences. Randomize and rotate when calling on students. There's actually websites that you can put the name of the students now, and it will do the randomizer for you automatically. That way you're not calling on the same student. That student doesn't feel you're picking on them, and that way the shy students will have an opportunity to participate as well. Use total response signals to check for understanding, like hand signals. There's many ways of using signals to check for understanding. targeted visual and vocabulary strategies, like having vocabulary or the words with images and all that, like we saw earlier. Has students participate in structured conversations, and have students participate in structure and reading and writing activity, and they can be independently or work in those activities in groups as well. The more that you put them in groups, they interact with each other, the better it is for language development. Questions? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Very good. Okay, so have you heard cognates? What do you guys understand for cognates? Talk to each other, please. 1 minute.
Cognates. Well, it's
There's some examples
words
there
that
for you.
come from the same root. So even if you don't understand, let's say the meaning in English, like for us that speak Spanish, we can go back to our knowledge in Spanish and then determine what the word means.
Yeah, like automobile that we saw
Mhm.
in the earlier slide.
Automobile
Yeah.
for
That's
Germany.
a good example for cognate.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that you should recognize, in your own language.
Mhm.
That will help you understand
Right.
the second language.
And they mean the same.
Mhm.
They're
They
not
mean the
only
same.
sound or reading similar, but they also mean the same. Automobile, automobile, and automobile in
Yeah.
German. It's the same thing, right? A car. And there's different examples in English and Spanish, and there are just, you can have, depending on the class and the students that you have, you can have these posted in the classroom. It helps. And I've seen it that teachers, usually they post cognates in the classroom. It's very helpful. And we have a game for that too.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, so I need someone to go to the computer over there, a volunteer.
Okay.
And you can participate from there too.
Alright.
Then where it says cognates, there's a link right there. Uh-huh. I don't think I can click from there. Yeah. There you go. All right, so
Oh, German.
yeah, I found this website. It's called WordWall. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a lot of activities for vocabulary, and this is about cognates. This one is about German cognates, and you're gonna see a word. You're gonna talk to each other, and Diana as well, and you're gonna pick the word that you think that cognate is. Is it cheesy? Okay.
Should I click start?
Yeah.
Okay, start.
Okay, go ahead. You can talk to each other. This is the word in German. Which one do you think it is?
I'll,
The
s-
neighbor.
I'll say
The neighbor.
Their neck.
I vote for the
What?
neighbor.
I was gonna say the night bar.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Night
it was.
bar.
Next board. Oh, mine need it.
The neighbor.
Pick one.
The
My
neighbor.
vote's the neighbor.
Star bar.
You know.
Oh,
First one.
my vote's the neighbor.
I'm gonna say night bar because that was the first thing I thought when I saw it.
All right, click on the first one. See what happens.
Go ahead. It's the neighbor. There you go.
The neighbor.
Okay, Elaine.
Alone.
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 I
I'll
think
go with
alone.
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 Alone. Yay!
That it's correct.
I
Alone.
like this game.
And there's a lot of different games. I'm gonna show you the other ones in a minute. Drown.
This one is.
I'm gonna say dream. I don't know why.
I'd say dream.
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 Great.
No.
No, dream.
Rude.
No.
Drown room.
Which one?
Dream.
Dream. Yay!
Correct. Woman.
Smurf.
Slumber.
Slumber.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Book.
Yeah.
Book.
Book.
Oh.
Sounds
That's more with the
similar,
pronunciation,
right?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Do you know
Yes.
German?
Gusta. Maybe.
Kisses. No,
No.
coast.
No, coast
Coast.
or cost?
Coast.
Cost.
Kisses.
I'm gonna
I'd
say cost.
Cost. Green.
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 No.
Well,
Coast.
Oh.
maybe because of this.
Yeah,
Maybe that
I don't know
means
how to
they
spell that,
coast.
but probably, yeah.
Helping.
Helping.
say to have.
Do you have?
I vote help.
Oh, to
I
help?
vote blue.
Let's go.
You guys were
Yay!
right.
You're
There
a
has-
half and-
Verbs before.
There and have. So obviously there is
They have.
the half.
They have.
let's go with this.
Ah.
The harbor.
The harbor.
Oh, the harbor.
That's not that close, right?
No.
But
Bank. To become.
I say yellow, yeah.
To get.
To
To
get.
get. Ah.
That's a long word.
Yes.
Yeah.
The undertaking.
The undertaking.
No, not undertaking.
The undertaking.
the first one?
Green.
Yeah, green.
The business person.
Oh no, that's not.
That's not even close.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's not even
that's not
close.
even close.
They're chef. They cook. A cook.
Cook.
You ready? I want to
Yes.
see this.
Oh,
The chef.
Oh, like the chief?
Oh,
The
wow.
chief, chief.
like a chef.
All right.
Ball. I'll say ball.
Ball.
Well, yeah, it's not her.
Yellow.
Wait,
Is it
Hermes?
Soon.
Ooh.
Well, they're not even close
So
to
we're trying to use.
Yeah,
cognates
no,
and
those
then
are not
false
close.
cognates.
gift. The computer get the
Now,
present.
why is this German cognates when there's not a cognate?
It's a false cognate. That's yeah.
The
present.
voice is not the present.
Now I'm all
I'll say
confused with the false cognate.
No, me too. I don't know what.
I'd say blue.
Let's go. See?
But that's
Yeah.
not even close.
Those are cognates then.
Yeah.
That's handy.
That's handy.
The
The
handyman.
handyman,
Yes,
Something
green.
useful, no?
yeah. Yeah, green.
Yeah, some of them make sense. The other ones, I think you can create your own too. They're mobile
Oh,
phone.
mobile phone.
Hand
Yeah.
phone?
5 points.
I don't know.
Hey, man, you like that? Got the
Oh.
6 out of 14.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, take
There's
it into
a
account
there's
that we don't
more
speak
there's
German.
more there's another one that it's more friendly, more like I like it more, but it
But
had
these
some
are- how do
words
you
there
call
that I
this?
didn't want it to show in the camera. Yeah.
How do you call this activity right here?
Go to the word,
Wall.
word the website itself, and it has you can create your own too. So I think that's better.
All right, perfect. So-
Yeah, let's go back to the presentation. I guess German cognates are not that close as Spanish English cognates, but
Sure.
but some of them were, at least, right? So for shelter instruction, the look for what administrations district are gonna look, and even teachers use this to prepare themselves to have a lesson that includes shelter instruction is the shelter instruction observation protocol model, which some people call it the SIOP, right? And that includes the lesson preparation, in which you include your strategies and all that. Includes the building background part, which is how you're gonna build background beforehand, comprehensible input, strategies, interaction, practice and application, lesson delivery, and how you're gonna review and assess and make sure that the student is understanding the lesson. And if those shelter instruction strategies really work for the lesson, right? What are you looking for, or what are the look fors in the shelter instructions classroom? These are some strategies that you can find in the classroom. Can you read the first one, Diana? Environmental print.
Classroom has labels with words and pictures on supplies, materials, learning centers, and objects.
So you're labeling and having pictures. This is very used in elementary with bilingual classroom, in which the chair says the chair, la silla, and it has the picture, right? It can be only in English as well, the chair and a picture of the chair, and then you label one. The same with the table, and then they're seeing language everywhere, right? Students are seeing language everywhere. They see the pencils, they see the reading center there, or the reading station, and it's labeled, and it has a boy reading, so they know sentence stems, right? The next one is sentence stems. Roxy, can you read 1 or 2 there, please?
content area sentence stems, anchor charts showing sentence stems,
Yeah.
questioning stems.
So you can do different sentence stems for them to talk to each other, for them to ask questions. You can have sentence stems so they can start what they're gonna say. You have that scaffold there for them, and it can be, if you teach different contents, you can have um, different anchor charts per content. For example, that way you can say in the math class, if you need help to speak or to write, you're going to look at that math sentence stems in that corner. Walls are limited, but sometimes if you have space, it's good to have that. Or just
So, and that happens to us too, learning a second language and going to another country like Germany. Like you're like the first thing that you're looking at is like, oh, where is it?
You will look
Yeah.
for a bathroom,
Yeah,
sign.
that's
for,
the
you know,
bathroom.
exactly, you need the sign, right?
Yeah, you need the sign.
Exactly. That's Germany, which is, imagine if you're in China or you're in Japan, right? Which is the letters are even completely
exactly.
different, right?
They're simple.
There's
Would
no
you need the
comments
im-
over there for us.
Would
We're
you need
like,
the images there, right? Where we were structured conversations. Diana, can you read a couple there, please?
Turn to a partner, think, pair, share, random calling on the students, inside, outside, circle, expert, novice, numbers, students, and groups, and small group
And small
discussion.
group discussion. So that's we talk about that, kind of talk about that already, in which you're providing as much as opportunities you can to have the students talk and share among themselves and use language. And Roxy, oral scaffolding, we have
Illustrations, models and demonstrations with gestures, total physical response, pictures, photographs, and real life objects, videos, graphic organizers, charts, and tables.
And then gestures is another thing. If you have a student that doesn't speak any English at all, and you say, okay, it's lunchtime, and they don't understand, but you're saying this, it's lunchtime, they're gonna understand that it's something about time for eating, right?
Yeah.
For example, so gestures are important as well, and TPR, which is a total physical response. They use movement throughout the lesson to demonstrate if they get it, if not, and even during the lesson, you can add activities that includes movement, right? And they remember that better.
And gestures is such cultural related as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have kids in the classroom from different countries, it would be good to have an activity about gestures.
Exactly.
You know,
Common ones,
yeah,
yeah.
like because maybe my gesture is
Right.
no the gesture from your country.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe have one common gesture for the classroom, and that's the understanding for everybody.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'd be like, oh, gestures, and some kids from other countries would be like, oh,
I don't know what you
we
mean.
don't- yeah, we don't say that.
Or
we
that's
don't do that."
offensive. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that part, which I was just thinking about that with gestures, is like we can create a very engaging activity with students, like
Right.
show me the gestures from this vocabulary list, right? Like
Exactly.
school appropriate, like things
Yeah.
that we're gonna communicate in the classroom,
Mhm.
which is related to the language that they're learning, like in this case, English.
English. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so examples of strategies, we have the QSSA that comes with a question, a signal, we got it, we are a little bit there, and I don't understand nothing. Sentence stem, share, and assess. That's one of the strategies that it's also posted in the classroom. And then we have different sentence stems. On the left, you're gonna see sentence stem for what subject? Math. And on the right, you see sentence stems for,
Science.
and these are just a few sentence stems. For sentence stem, sometimes you might want to think that, oh my God, I have to prepare my lesson and I need to plan and I need to have all the sentence stem for the year or for the whole. No, you can build slowly your classroom. Some people laminate them and save them for the next year. And you don't have to do everything at once, right? You can plan for a week and have your sentence stem for that week, or even build the sentence stems with the students as well.
This model is also is very important, especially now that you're talking about science and math, that we think that we don't need a lot of comprehensible input in the classroom.
Mhm.
But it's like, it's so important because the students, I've seen that they will make mistakes because they didn't understand
Right.
the prompt. They actually
Or the
have
word
the
problem.
skill to do the math process or the science experiment or the lab,
Yeah.
but actually they didn't get there because they didn't understand.
Well, my experience in the math classroom, in a bilingual math classroom, was that mainly they miss the math
The
because of the
vocabulary.
vocabulary, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they're not they don't comprehend sometimes those multi-step word problems. So all these strategies help, and it makes them stop, think, and check their work. If they are here using the sentence stem, I can prove my thinking by, and they get stuck there. They don't know how they got to that answer. That's gonna make them go back and recheck their problem if they had it correct or not, right? And yeah, so it helps with critical thinking as well. Teaching instead of I don't know. Can you read the first one, Diana?
May I please have some more information?
Instead of I just, it's the same, kind of the same thing as saying I don't know, but it sounds more proper, and it provides the student, it's gonna have the student obtain the information the student needs to feel confident and answer the question that is being asked, right? Roxy, the next one.
May I have some time to think?
Some time to think. Regardless, if they say that or no, as teachers, we need to understand that emergent bilingual students, and it might not even be emergent bilingual students. Students in general need time to think. Next one.
Could you please repeat the question?
You please repeat the question. Is something we do as adults, right? To make sure we understand what we're asking. I do it all the time. That we understand we're being asked, and we answer accordingly and accurately to the question. And
May I ask a friend for help?
if it's a test, that doesn't apply. But if it's just a regular lesson or activity, then yes, why not? You have students, and then that's gonna have students talk and use language, right? And you can even have an expectation. Okay, you can ask a friend for help, but it needs to be in English, not in your first language. And that's why you're gonna have prints and sentence stems and all that to guide them in those conversations. Okay, 2-column notes. What this strategy could be used in what subject? What do you guys think? Talk to each other really quick.
Science.
I think anything, but yeah, this is either science or social studies. Looks like it has to do with Katrina hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say there? Oh, that's a line.
It's a
Yeah.
T-shirt, cause and effect, and it sounds
He even did some drawings over there in the corner.
Yeah.
exactly little tornadoes. Yeah, they can do drawings to help themselves, and it works for the reading class, science, even social studies too as well, right? The cause of this conflict, or the effect was war or whatever, right? Depending on the subject that you're having. I brought this, but I left it in my backpack. So, but this goes in the center of the table. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
Right? And what does that do?
Well, from what I know, it comes from Kagan strategy. That's
Mhm.
what I've seen it before. And then it's to pair participants or students, or like group them for group work or projects or participation,
Right.
taking turns.
And this can be done at the beginning of the year, right? It's either you're sitting here, you will be 3 or A. If you're sitting there, you will be 2 or B, and then you will be 1 or A. And I can say, hey, student 1, go talk student 1. You're gonna work that with student 3 of your table, or student 4. You're gonna talk to student. It's many ways. What other ways can you guys think that it can work? I'll give you a couple seconds for that.
Dividing up the students and then so they have an opportunity to get up, like all the ones go to that corner and the twos go to that corner, discuss the topic and then come back. Or if you divide up an assignment and all ones are gonna do this and then come back and then teach your group of your 4 people, that sort of thing.
I love that. You can do a corner activity with this
Send them to
ones,
different corners.
fours,
Yeah.
without being like having a lot of prep. I'm also seeing it on the classroom when instead of using like A, B, C, or D, or like they would change it to vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like taco and taco, and
Yeah.
hamburguesa and hamburguesa, and like whatever they're learning.
Or
kinda
this,
like,
the lions go meet in that
Yeah.
corner. So you can do animals, shapes, right?
Colors,
All of those things, colors. It depends, I think the
teacher.
level
Yeah,
and the teacher,
the
right?
time for the teacher too. 'Cause,
Exactly.
I mean, this is very useful. You just print it out and then
It
organize
stays.
the
For,
class.
it
Yeah.
stay. If you're sitting them by table, it stays there
You
the whole
laminate
year.
those for sure. 'Cause,
Mhm.
yeah.
Think per share. It is a form for there to organize their thinking, in which they gonna write what is the topic, what I'm the person writing the paper, what I think, what does my partner think, and what things are common, right? So it helps with critical thinking. It helps with having structured conversation, like, what do you think about it? Oh, so we share the same thing, so they're gonna be communicating and working together. This is a very big wall. I think it's for reading, right? So you have text features, text structure, functioning reading, text reliability and credibility. Probably this was taken at the end of the year. That's why it's that big. What else did you notice over there?
The color coding.
Color coded. Okay. What class probably? What subject this is? Probably for
Probably RLA.
RLA, right? Reading, language arts. We agree. So you can have, if it's color coded for the whole year, you can have a student. Okay, so the evidence for compare and contrast, or that you use purple, or the product information you're gonna use red. So I mean, I think that table of content highlighted with yellow, so you can use systematically the color coding in your RLA classroom, right?
And you can mix and match your strategies, like you had the one before, like all the number 2s are going to work on purple, the purple
Exactly.
column. Or,
You can assign a test and assign strategies from there. I like that. Very good. Okay. And then we have tips for turn and talk, or expectations. This is just an example. You can have your own expectation. You're gonna have, especially sometimes culturally, that some cultures don't tend to look to the face, face to face, or to the eyes of the person. But here in this classroom, we expect you to look at the person you're talking to listen, and then to be ready to speak. And obviously, so that only your partner can hear you and not yelling. And then when it's time to share, he's gonna turn and face the front and wait quietly. And this can look different in different classrooms, in multiple classrooms. These are just some expectations, and it has images, it has color coding, so it has different things. It can be posted in your classroom. Okay. Now, graphic organizer, we have one that could be used for social studies, for reading as well, the main idea and details, in which it helps the students organize their thoughts and what they find in the reading, main idea, and the details behind it. And sequence order, what subject you guys think this could be used?
And everything, but mostly English, ILA.
English,
Social
social
studies,
studies,
math.
right?
Even math, they had to
Yeah.
go through the process.
Word problem.
So it will help with a multi-step word problem,
Multi-step,
right?
Yeah.
Good. Think aloud. We have different strategies for thinking aloud. Can you read one that you like, Diana, right there?
I'm gonna go with questioning.
Questioning.
Sentence stem, why, did, when.
Is that the
No,
one?
why, when, what, and where. Was.
Yeah. And then I'll add who. Like the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, right? Why, when, or, yeah. So, and it helps for math or any other subject. Roxy, anyone that you want to
Well,
mention
the
there?
one that stands for me, it's probably reflecting, because after you do all the verbs, that are saying there, sometimes when you do the reflecting and within a group of students, their words, their vocabulary, or the way they can explain it to each other can sometimes teach them better than what you're actually doing as a teacher.
Right,
So they
right.
can understand sometimes better. So that reflection could be more, what's the word?
It's more some more critical thinking if they are able to
More learning.
more
Yeah,
learning.
It's
Yeah.
a learning experience too for them.
Yeah.
Anyone, Joe, from there?
I like summarizing because it's like maybe you don't understand every detail, every part of it. You got lost for a little bit. You stopped paying attention for a little bit, but do you just get the overall point of what happened? Because at least then we have a baseline to work from.
We can work on that. Exactly. Good. And okay, now for the last question. Now that you learned a little bit about all the strategies and the reasoning why, which one is one that you will pick to try, let's say, next week? Go ahead. It's a
I
couple
would do
seconds.
teach students what to say when instead of I don't know, because it keeps them accountable, and they, whether they don't know it, it's an opportunity to learn, or maybe they do know it, but they just don't want to say it. It's an opportunity to just practice their English by actually saying what they know. It's not like a free pass. You just go to somebody else.
Anything else?
So I go with the vocabulary activities, the cognates and all that. I
Mhm.
really liked the basic one, from just the picture, from the words to the pictures instead
Mhm.
of the pictures to the words.
Okay.
I like that
Okay.
because sometimes, like you were saying, like they don't know that they know, but they don't like all this, situation. And when you just teachers show the picture to students, they might know, but they don't want to say it. But so if you use that strategy of cognates or maybe whatever, like the previous background knowledge, that would help. So I love that, like a warm-up activity. I do want to try it next week.
Exactly.
And also the technology, the implementation of technology, the world, what was that website again?
Word wall.
Yes.
Word wall, and you
I
can
love
create your
that.
own. I know that one was at the beginning it was fine, and then it turned like more harder or something. But you can create your own ones.
Yeah, and you said they already have lessons pre-made,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, that's
mhm,
perfect
yeah.
for teachers, so I
Yeah.
can just go in and pick one already.
Yeah, there's one that is cognates in German actually that has images and everything, and you have to drag and drop, and he has like more than 30 words there.
Yeah. So I would say the implementation of comprehensible input through vocabulary.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Thumbs up. Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
How you pronounce that word?
Which one?
All of them.
Bolzen, I don't know.
Beyond.
Thank you in different languages.
Shukriya.
Arigato.
Arigato.
Grazie.
Yeah.
Where is
And
it?
in grazie. Yeah.
Grazie.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.